Welcome to the 16th season of the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Our panel includes Neil Riddell of the Altoona Mirror, Mark Brennan of FightOnState.com, Sports Director Casey Kantz of WTAJ Sports, and a special guest analyst each week. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
Welcome inside another edition of the NitWits. I'm still all flustered from what we saw at Beaver Stadium on Saturday night, guys. Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan, Mike Irwin back with us for another week. Where do we start? I mean, I think we've calmed down a little bit now, but what a football game. A 4 overtime throw for Penn State to come out on top in that football game and hand Michigan its first loss of the year. How unbelievable was that?
Let's first expand the show tonight. How about
the
that?
4 overtime.
Let's go through every.
Yeah. You know, what struck me is just a maximized opportunity for this football program. I mean, when you look at the backdrop of the crowd that they had, all the recruits that they had, to make that kind of a comeback, 10 points down, and Christian Hackenberg, the 3 completions, 80 yards in less than 50 seconds, really about 25 seconds, and those catches by Robinson, Felder, and then Robinson again. I think it was the best finish that we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, following the Indiana game, I was joking with you, Casey, about, this isn't, a wake. It's not a viewing. Right. It was obviously a tough loss, but I thought then it was really key to see how this team is going to bounce back. And guess what? They proved again under this coaching staff that they are a resilient bunch. Everything was against them, and they came back. And I agree with Neil. I'll tell you what, that crowd, wow. To rally behind that team, I know some people left in the fourth quarter, then some came back in, but that atmosphere was electric and just incredible. And I think if they could give out 107,000 game balls, they probably would.
To contrast that with last week. Last week they're playing Indiana at noon in a half-filled stadium, and then you go out to Penn State in that atmosphere with 107,844 people there. The 844, including your wife, was there.
So was yours, Mike. Right?
Well, she was there too, so I better mention her name. But it was a great atmosphere, and like Neil said, I think going forward, I mean, it's going to help their recruiting. I mean, if they could play every game at 5 o'clock at night on a weekend, I think they would really draw 107,000 every game.
Guys, how about just the ups and downs? Both quarterbacks trading picks early on. Penn State led by 11 at the half. Zwinak then fumbled to start the second half. Michigan would then storm ahead by 10. It looked all but over. But you mentioned the crowd. Penn State would tie it late, and then the 4 overtimes. I mean, the ups and downs. And you think they're out, and then they're back. And
well, that's what a 4 overtime game typically is. It's typically won and lost, 2 or 3 or 4 times. And I'm sure Michigan is had trouble sleeping last night because they let a number of opportunities get away. But I think Penn State saved their season, really, because you look at you're coming off the game in Indiana, and had they lost this game and then go into an open date and then to Ohio State, I think it was going to be a real uphill climb, a lot of character.
Yeah, I thought both teams showed incredible heart. Now, they didn't necessarily play well, and I was describing it earlier as almost like a drunken brawl where they were just slamming each other and missing and swinging, but the effort was there, and I think that's what makes that win so big for Penn State. Not only that they needed it, but that was not – both teams were playing with such heart. in such determination. Your heart goes out to the kicker for Gibbons for Michigan, but Ficken missed some key things too, and I think it was just a matter of who was able to man up and play as tough as they could at the biggest moment. That Penn State defense, as much heat as it took, and even though it gave up 40 points, gave up 6 points in 4 overtimes. There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but to Neil's point, Mike, I mean, I know you weren't on the show last week, but we're talking about it maybe adjusting our season predictions now with the tough loss at Indiana and playing Michigan and another bye week and then Ohio State, and then you get a win like this. I mean, how big is that?
Well, it's a big. I mean, if you look back, Michigan has more wins than any other team in the country, and if you look at Penn State's record against the top teams, I mean, we're about 500 with all of them, with Ohio State and with Michigan, with Wisconsin, Nebraska. We're all about 500. So Penn State is one of the elite programs, and like Neil said earlier, I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of Saturday night's game is these recruits. How many recruits are going to sign?
Point.
Because they already have a few kids from Michigan. I think the trouble they have is recruiting in Ohio, but I mean, next week will be, or 2 weeks from now will be a big game too. Maybe Penn State has another opportunity to prove themselves.
How about Christian Hackenberg? Maybe singing a different tune today if Penn State didn't win this game Saturday night or even tie it. But he threw a couple of bad picks. He had some overthrows, including that one to Allen Robinson in the fourth quarter, where it looked like he had him probably for 6 there. But that final drive in regulation to tie the game for a freshman, the poise. You mentioned under 50 seconds to play. My gosh, what an incredible drive that was.
You know, I think that is quarterback development and that's coaching. And obviously this is a star prospect. To be able to bring them back the poise, the way he stepped up and did not panic in the pocket, you're seeing somebody who is going to be special. I mean, he has a lot of the building blocks in place right now, but he is really going to be a great one.
But, you know, they had 3 outstanding plays there, that last 3 plays. I think it took 23 seconds for them to go from the 25 down to the 1-yard line or the half-yard line, whatever. But Robinson made 2 great plays, and Felder made another play, so it was great to see that happen.
Yeah, I mean, people were talking last week about the need for another guy. Allen Robinson was shut out a lot of that game, but Felder made it play his best game.
And listen, Hackenberg, the poise that he showed, I know, you can talk about Robinson all you want. He's kind of a veteran guy now. But to show that sort of poise, you're going to still have growing pains with this guy. And you see it within the course of certain drives. Within, he'll make one terrible throw and then a great throw. But to come through the way he did and then, sneak in the touchdown and then play with poise throughout the overtimes was just, to me, amazing.
Let's take a quick break, guys. Still much more to come. Yes, the scoreboard, like Mark said, will show that Michigan put up 40 points on the Penn State defense on Saturday, but don't read much into it because John Butler's crew came up big when it mattered. We're going to talk a little bit more about the effort from the D coming up next.
The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental.
I'm Adam Talaferro, and you're watching the NitWits.
We lost in the end, a game that we shouldn't have lost. Man, we made just dumb mistakes in that game, and we wanted to come out and redeem ourselves. We feel like no one respects us as a defense and even as an offense, so we wanted to come out here and give everything we had.
And they certainly did. Penn State handing Michigan its first loss of the year in thrilling fashion Saturday night at Beaver Stadium. Guys, it took 4 overtimes, but Penn State improves to 4-2 with a 43-40 win. You saw Daquan Jones there. Let's talk a little bit about the defense if we can, from C.J. Alanian to Anthony Zettel to Kyle Boblitz to Daquan Jones. I mean, that defense came up huge late in this football game. Gave them a chance to win, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, given as poorly as they played at times against Indiana, I thought it was a really good turnaround. I mean, that's a deceiving 40 points. I mean, they got 10 of those were either directly or kind of indirectly off of turnovers. I like the fact that they really changed things up. They went with some 5-man fronts, did some different things. The linebackers, to me, outside of one play where I don't even think that was Carson's fault. They were yelling at somebody else.
Yeah.
But I thought the linebackers played really well. And again, I go back to overtime. If you give up only 6 points in 4 overtimes, that's an indication that the defense played really well.
What I liked about the defense is they really got after it as far as putting pressure on the quarterback. And they used different – they started Zettel. Okay, so, you know, they sat down Barnes for a little bit, gave him a little bit different look, and, you know, Alanian played great. You're seeing different combinations, but, I mean, they were very aggressive. You saw an intensity on that defense that I don't know that they had played with really all year.
Zettel and Alanian, both from Michigan, by the way.
That's right, and Alanian was on a different level yesterday. I mean, he really was, Mike.
Well, I agree with you guys on the front four, but if you look at the quarterback from Michigan able to make those big yards, I still don't think they're containing, you know, the quarterback and some of the outside plays enough. I mean, and I agree the front four played superb, and they had a couple new guys in there that I don't even know how you pronounce it, G-A-I-A. Brian Gaia,
yeah.
who came up, and he came up big. He was playing well, and I agree with the front four, and I think Carson in the middle. I'm not sure the outside linebackers are the Hodges and the Bowmans that we're used to. I think we need a little more speed on the outside.
Well, I mean, those guys were NFL players. Hall's not 100% yet. He's really been a warrior out there. He hung in there in pass coverage late in the game.
Huge play.
Great play. We just saw it, yeah.
Well, I think Hall's better inside than outside because he's a strong kid and he's real aggressive, but I'm not sure he might be a step slow on the outside. You know?
Well, when he's
I think
injured.
he's
Last year, last year he was their best cover linebacker, and you would hope that his knee is getting better and better and better. They get a bye week this week, but he made a huge play in overtime. Again, I mean, you could talk all you want about when this game was in regulation, but in overtime, the guys who stepped up, to me, it was something else.
That's a good point, especially the way this game's going. I mean, the way it started, you know, Ryan Kaiser, I think, was beating coverage there for the long pass play. You mentioned Glenn Carson was in coverage on that other pass play in the second half. I mean, you're thinking it can go really any way, and the way this defense showed up in the 4 overtimes was can't say anything. I mean, got him the win, pushed him to the win.
You started to catch the ball on defense.
Yeah.
Lucas makes a big play.
Yes.
Zettel makes a big play, and, you know, you turn into short fields.
Yeah, one other thing Butler mentioned after John Butler, the defensive coordinator, said, you know, people want to blitz. Well, you know what? They did blitz, and they got burned on it a couple times, and that's, I think, what you're going to start seeing, you know, with maybe some of the lack of numbers. They're going to have to gamble. They're going to have to take chances, and guess what? Maybe you get burned once, and then maybe you get a huge sack, you know, or a fumble or something the next time. So I thought the defense really stepped up from where it was the previous week.
You know, the other linebacker in defense, Wortman, played pretty well, too. You know, is he a freshman linebacker?
He's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
Redshirt freshman. He played well. I mean, I think overall they played well. I just thought they gave a little bit too much room to the quarterback, although you have to give him credit for
Gardner does that to a lot of people, and if you look at their total offense numbers, he accounted for all but like 20 or 30 yards that they had. He's a heck of a player, and when earlier I gave Michigan credit, boy, that guy, something else.
Yeah. Let's take another break, guys. Still much more to come. We'll talk about the Penn State receivers a little bit more. Allen Robinson, of course, coming up with a huge catch late in regulation. Didn't see much from Allen early on in regulation, though. We did see a lot of Brandon Felder, though. We'll talk a little bit more about both those guys coming up.
The NitWits are brought to you by the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona. Ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal.
The NitWits, a weekly look at the Nittany Lions.
Both teams hung in there. Both teams fought hard, and you know, thankfully Penn State come out on the winning end, and you know, it just says a lot about our kids. We're a very resilient bunch of kids that care about each other and really love playing for Penn State. You know, they love this place, and they know it means a lot to them in their lives, and they just keep fighting hard for this place.
Bunch of fighters, right, Neil?
Absolutely.
That guy, I'll tell you
I want
what.
to give him credit.
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to, yeah.
Talk about playing for the win. I mean, It's interesting. I thought Bill O'Brien, in some ways, grew up even more as a coach yesterday because we've seen that he's a very knee-jerk type of guy at times. And he admitted that he debated going for 2 points. Because we're standing in the end zone and saying, is he going to go for 2 right here? Now, that could have potentially been such a downer. He decided to be patient, go for the field goal, the extra point, and then get to overtime with your home crowd. I think that non-call was a smart call. And then in the 4th overtime, going for it right there.
What about his emotion, too? I was down on the field afterward, and right after the handshake, the sideline reporter came over to get him, and it was before the camera could get there. And I have video. I swear he was on the verge of crying there, and you could see a little twinkle in his eye. There. That guy, he goes, and I think that's actually pretty good because he could get really angry, and he was ticked off at times during the game, but you could see how he really wears his heart on his sleeve, and why the players love him so much.
Yeah, Coach.
Well, you look like Brady Hoke didn't even wear earphones. Another guy that you never wore the earphones or the. On there, but
who are you talking about?
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
O'Brien is so into the game. Making calls on the sidelines, and he is a true leader. The guy is unbelievable. Now he probably made one bad call there where he went for it in 4th and 1 on about their own 30-yard line early in the game. There's certain you want to believe in your players, but that's carrying it to the other degree a little bit. But I just love Bill O'Brien and the way he handles.
But I think that speaks to. At times he shows a lack of patience sometimes, but yesterday he did show patience by going for the extra point and then when the chance to the game on the line.
Confidence in his players too.
Well, listen, and I would wind back to 1967. Wasn't there a coach who went for it on 4th and inches from his own 15-yard line?
Against Florida State, I believe.
Yeah. And so I think you have to look at these things in the context that, yes, that didn't work, but when they needed the 4th down, as Casey said, he showed confidence in overtime in the offensive line, and the offensive line maybe didn't block great, but they did just enough, and Belt made a good move for a key 4th.
He shows a lack of patience with his team. Zwinak fumbles the ball, you don't see him again.
I don't think you should have seen him again.
I agree with that.
Huge fumble.
And he did that earlier to Ferguson. He made one mistake at quarterback in the first game, and I don't think we've saw him.
I think that was a different situation, and I think the Zwinak and the whole running back will be something for our open date midseason show because you're talking about 7 fumbles now, and that let the air out of the stadium. They were fortunate that they ultimately recovered, but it took the rest of the game and 4 overtimes to recover.
Let's get just a quick thought from everybody. Allen Robinson, kind of an up and down day, not targeted much in the first half. Gets the huge catch though at the end of regulation that got him down to the 1. He had the big fumble though in the end around as the 3rd overtime, I believe. Talk about his day a little bit. Coach even saying afterwards, there's the fumble right there. Even saying afterwards that Allen was rightfully so a little frustrated, not targeted as much because he's a huge part of the offense, if not the biggest part of this Penn State
But
offense.
Isn't this going to be the key for them going forward? When you play these better teams, it's not like he's going to be able to get open as easily as he did against some of these crappy teams.
Right.
So Michigan's a better team.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was time for somebody else to step up, and Felder did.
Sure.
And then when it mattered, Robinson found himself open. So I think this was actually good for Penn State that they realized that other guys, Carter was doing something. Jesse James was doing some really good things. So this was good in the long-term development of the quarterback and the offense that they got some other people.
Yeah, I think you're going to expect Robinson to get double-teamed by a lot of these teams. He got loose one time and he was overthrown by Hackenberg, overthrew him, or he would have had a touchdown. But these other teams are aware that Allen Robinson exists, and he's going to be in the pros in next year or the year after. So they know about Robinson, and he'll perform given the opportunity. But I agree with Mark that Jesse James had a great game, and some of the other tight ends are playing better.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take our final break. We could probably talk for another whole hour or so. We'll wrap things up, though, on the other side. Stay with us.
The NitWits are brought to you by The Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday.
Hi, I'm Eric Shrive, number 75, left guard. And you're watching the NitWits.
Thank you, Eric, and welcome back. We were putting our final thoughts down yesterday in the media room after all the media sessions had ended, and I get a little wink from Neil Riddell as
I thought a double thumbs up.
double thumbs up, wink, something
Big
like
wink.
that. I'm the Nitwit of the week.
Yeah.
Congratulations, though.
Well, you
You're on
guys
the board.
always want to know before we get in here. Yeah.
Well, we see now why it was we all had such difficulty making the pick last week. I mean, we were all that close to one way or the other.
Incidentally, I was going to make it 30 to 27, but I didn't have the opportunity.
Okay,
Penn
all
State.
right. Well, you
Stats-
can mail your picks in.
Yeah, that's right.
The Stassi picked it by 2 in your absence.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody was in it till the very end, and what can I say?
This guy trying to be a gracious winner.
Yeah.
There's only one fool up there with no
That's his
wins.
first win. So
I'm on the
that's good.
board.
Hey, we want to mention it is Penn State's second and final open day of the year, but we're still going to be with you next Sunday. Pink ties as well, as we're honoring Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We all wore the pink ties today. So what a win, guys, huh?
Yeah. And
Awesome
now they get
win.
another, Joe for years complained they had no open dates. Now they have 2.
Yes.
So it had an effect on the schedule, and the fact that the Big Ten doesn't want to end their season before Thanksgiving anymore is another one of the reasons for it.
All righty, we'll be with you next Sunday. Thanks for joining us. For Neil Riddell, Mark Brennan, Mike Irwin, our director Chris Owens, I'm Casey Cantz. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
The NitWits have been brought to you by Irwin Financial Raymond James, an independent firm and firm foundation for your financial future. Coldwell Banker, no one will work harder to sell your home. By Doctors Howells and Reed, orthodontics for children and adults. By Pacifico's Bakery, genuine Italian bread and rolls for your tailgating needs. By Fiore True Value on 6th Avenue in Altoona, just ask rental. By the Altoona Professional Hearing Aid Center, your hearing aid healthcare professional. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your cleaning needs. By your rehab choice, Health South of Altoona, ask for us by name. By J&P Auto, home of the $1,000 push, pull, or tow. By Courtesy Motors of Altoona, where courtesy means a great deal. By the Allegro, where fine cuisine is a way of life. By EasyToUse.com, your Yellow Pages connection in print and online. By FightOnState.com, as close as you get to Penn State football without putting on a helmet. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State game day every Friday. You can also see the NitWits on AltoonaMirror.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.